Get your motor running. Head out on the highway. Looking forward.
Today I'm going to show you how we replace a oil pump and a starter clutch gear on a GY6 motor. Just for convenience, I've already stripped this motor down. I've bolted it up to our work stand, and I've removed the flywheel and the stator, and now I will show you from this point how we get into the motor and replace those components. I've already pre-loosened the case bolts. Once you've got the stator and the flywheel out, you undo the 8mm bolts and gently pull this cover off. Okay. First drain the oil, obviously, otherwise all the oil is going to be on the floor. And after you've drained the oil, pull this case off. That will expose your starter clutch and your oil pump. You do need a special spanner to undo this bolt. If you don't have one, you can use a chisel and to loosen this bolt. Now I've already pre-loosened it. This bolt holds the clutch on. So let's just go ahead and take it off. Set it down here. Just be careful the starter gear doesn't pop out. If it does, it's no big deal. Gently pull the clutch off. Try and keep it together because you don't want the gear to come off the clutch. That sometimes can be a little bit of a problem, as all little springs and rollers will pop out. Now this clutch does have a keyway, so just make sure you don't lose that little woodruff key. Okay, that'll expose the crank with the oil pump guard and the chain that drives the oil pump. The pump sits behind this little protection plate. Let's go ahead and remove the plate. Again, this can be done just using a little 8mm socket. Let's go ahead and take that out. Okay. Now you can see we've exposed the oil pump with the gear. This gear is held on by a little nut here. We can use a 10mm socket to take that out. Loosen that just gently, and now the gear will pop off, and you can just take it out of the chain. Put that down. Remove the chain. And now you can see the oil pump is totally exposed. It's also held in by 2 bolts, and once again use your 8mm socket and you can remove these 2 bolts. Just like this. And at that point the oil pump will come out and you can replace it. Now, just bearing in mind the shaft that drives the pump has got a little flat spot on it, and that flat spot will line up with the flat spot on the gear. So just make sure that you put that back correctly when this goes back in. Pretty simple to do. If the reduction gear should pop out, it's no big deal. It just pulls out like that, and the shaft also will pull out. If it does pull out, just stick it back in like that, no big deal. And to put it all back, you just basically reverse the procedure. Take your new oil pump. It does have a little arrow on it. Make sure the arrow is pointing upwards, and that'll fit back in right like that. Make sure it's all nice and clean. And once again, you just line up the holes just like that, and put back your little bolts using your 8mm socket. You want to snug these bolts up and obviously nice and tight, but you do not want to over tighten them. Don't forget, you're just going into an aluminum case, so you do not want to strip this. Well, I'll go ahead and just tighten everything up, and then I'll be back in a second. Okay, hi, we're back again. We've got the new oil pump installed, got this gear lined up on the shaft, put the nut back on, tighten that up really snug. make sure you get this on the right gear on the crank. Okay, now we're going to put the starter clutch in. Okay, you'll see it does have a cut for the woodruff key, for the keyway. So the gear goes in like this. Just gently turn it till it lines up. Get these gears to line up and it'll fit right in. Don't forget to put the big spacer or washer back on, and then we'll just tighten this nut up. It is a left-hand thread, so be sure not to strip it. Just get it nice and tight, and we'll snug that up here in a short while. Let's go ahead and put our oil pump guard back on. Once again, don't over tighten these bolts, because we are, oops, I got this the wrong way around. Sorry, let's do that again. We do not want to strip these bolts in the aluminum casing. That fits right in there like that. And just nicely snug this up. This one I really kind of made a bit of a mess up today, but anyway, let's get that back in there the right way around this time. Okay, snug that up. Just right in there like that. Okay. Again, don't over tighten, just lightly snug it up. Alright, and we're good to go here. We need to just tighten this nut up. Again, if you do not have a spanner to fit on there, you can just get somebody to hold the crank on the other side with your variator fan, and just put a chisel in here and just lightly tap it around to tighten it, and that should snug it up pretty well. Once that's all snugged up, we'll go back with the casing, put the case back on, make sure that you've got your 2 dowel pins lined up, your gasket, and then put the case on. Okay, just like that. Always good, just put a little bit of grease right here in the seal or here on the crankshaft, just so the seal fits on nicely and you're not going to rip the seal. Be careful you don't rip this little oil seal in here. And this will just fit right back on like this. It'll line up and snug the bolts back up. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you online.